All right, welcome back. This is a brand new recording, and we are MDEV1004 in the summer 2023 semester at Georgian College. I'm just going to go and see if I can see instead of the transcript. There we go. And this is week one, and my name is Tom. I'll be your instructor for this semester. Just a little bit about me. My background is in software engineering. I've been teaching since 2011. So, you know, it's been a bit of time. I've taught thousands of students, no joke, at multiple institutions across the GTA. So that's one thing. And I have thousands of videos, no joke, on YouTube as well, right? So tons of them. Many playlists and all that kind of stuff that I use. I've taught all kinds of courses across different languages, so I kind of consider myself, you know, programming language agnostic. C++, C#, Python, Swift, JavaScript, TypeScript, and all those kind of things. One of the loves that I have, of course, is game development, and I've been playing games and making games for about 40 years, right? So that's how I'm an old guy. Right, so that's how it is. Started back in the day when there was the arcade stuff, and now of course we're using Unity as a commercial game engine in Unreal, but I've also dabbled in my own game engines and built things from the ground up with C++ and so on. So lots of stuff. Currently working on a master's in VR security. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm doing that at the same time. And I'm also working on a tabletop role-playing game called Bloodstar Plasmagoria, which I'm working on. It's kind of the latest one that we've been working on with me and my group of friends. It's kind of a side interest that we're thinking about putting together into a video game at some point, but it's deep in the stages of playtesting at this point. People are having fun, which is good, and it's our own game system, so that's the stuff that we are putting together. That's a little bit about me. Best way to contact me is through my Georgian email. So it's tom.siliopoulos@georgiancollege.ca. If you can't say my name, it's okay. Tom is good. You know, that's perfectly fine. One thing also that we're going to be doing in this semester is I have a Discord server that I want you guys to join. I'm just going to bring up Discord here in a second. I'm going to share the link on Blackboard for you. So I'm going to give you an invite to the Discord server for those people who are here and for those people who are not. And I think it's a good way of connecting. If you need to get a hold of me one day instead of destroying this black screen, if you want to get a hold of me quicker or after hours, of course, then I'm just going to stop sharing that one for just 1 sec. If you want to get a hold of me, then usually it's Discord is a very good way. I'm just going to stop sharing that one just 1 sec while we do that. Of getting a hold of me. That was weird. That I didn't expect that. But it is what it is. So I'm going to share that with you in 1 second. So Discord, the reason why I use Discord, of course, is because I'm a game guy, right? So I kind of do, you know, games. I stream games, all that kind of stuff, and I think it's just kind of a very nice platform. I'm not sure if you guys use Discord as well. You're going to use Discord this time, right? So, yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing. Are you on Discord as well?
Yeah. My kid uses it. I don't really. I tried to stay away from it. But
I'm going to ask you to do it. And now again, it's not 100% required. Like I'm not going to say that you have to do it or whatever. I'm just telling you that I think the reason why I'm, you know, kind of I use it is because I think it's better than Teams in terms of communication. I think Teams is terrible. It's not. I mean, I've always thought Teams is a bad app to communicate with. It's just me. I love Microsoft.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
Yeah. Microsoft is a great tools company. I really do believe that they're a great tools company, but they really suck when it comes to, you know, teleconferencing and all this kind of stuff. They've made some advancements. Let's give them this, okay? They've made some advancements with Teams, but one of the things I always think about is for all the money that Microsoft has and everything else, I just really feel that they just they haven't done, kind of Teams justice. It's almost like I feel like I'm using Skype again, right? And Skype was good like in the 90s, right? But Zoom, although it's not a perfect platform by any means, I think is still better than in many ways. It's just easier to use. It's more flexible than Teams. It's got lots of stuff, and Teams is really confusing sometimes for many people. So that's why I kind of say it that way. Not because, like I said, I'm kind of like I've told you before, just earlier, I'm, platform agnostic. I really don't care, right? I'm not a Mac person or a PC person. I have both, and all that kind of stuff. I think those things are good to know. You should know Mac and PC as a developer anyway. Who knows how long, things will last and we've been lasting. And I've got, Jasleen, welcome Jasleen, to see you come on as well. But on that, I think that,
Morning, sir.
Hello. The main thing is that, we, all of us should be platform agnostic. It shouldn't be something like, well, I only like Macs or only like PCs. Tomorrow it might be something else. Maybe we'll be using, I don't know, some kind of like lens in our eye. You never know, right? So, which is probably a pretty good thing. So there's going to be this Discord server invite that I'm going to post on the week 1 content area that you're going to see. So I'm going to talk about how the course is laid out in a second, and just so you guys are aware, that stuff here, and you can see now it shows on the screen. There you go. So if you notice, the Discord server invite is on Blackboard, so please join it. It is going to be for this server. If you go to Discord, you're going to see that there is a Discord server here. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be publishing everything that we're doing here in this course. I'll be mirroring some of it inside of this category right here. So worst case scenario, Blackboard goes down, something goes wrong, whatever, we have a backup. And I'm also going to be posting my videos here as well. Other things, announcements. If you want to get a hold of me and you're part of the same server as me, you can certainly just send me a direct message, DM. You can DM me, and then we're good to go. When it comes to availability, I'm going to be available Monday through Friday, typically 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., right? Later on, after 6, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be not as available, but only because things happen after hours for me, just like it happens for you, right? But I'll try and make myself available as much as possible throughout the week. Weekends, I respect your weekend and all that kind of stuff. Chances are, if you send me a note on a Friday, I'll get back to you Monday or Tuesday. Saturday and Sunday, most likely I will not be available most weekends. Only because, I've got some stuff going on with the family and everything else. Again, I'll try not to send you guys notes on Sundays. Typically, if I do, it's just for the next day or something like that. But I won't expect you to respond or to me on a particular weekend, unless you sent me a note and I'm responding to you. So those are the kind of my availability. I don't have an office yet. So back to this screen right here. The best way to get a hold of me is, again, like I said, email or Discord. I have also posted my contact card in Blackboard. If you need to call me, call me. You keep that to a minimum unless it's absolutely a mandatory thing, like it's an emergency or something. But if you cannot make it to class, or you have any kind of formal things that you have to talk about with me, example, like you couldn't submit an assignment or something like that, certainly you can let me know by Discord. But if it's something like sickness related or you need some kind of accommodations, please use formal email. That's going to be recorded properly and all that kind of stuff. So I prefer if you do it that way. Any questions around me, contact, all that stuff? I'm going to get to know you guys over the semester for the people that are physically here. And this is kind of a weird course. I kind of mentioned this in my little announcement, which is It's like, hi, this is a GC Flex course, and you can connect live and in person, which I recommend is probably the best way of learning. You can also connect online, synchronous, which is probably the second best way of learning. And you can do online asynchronous, which is, in my opinion, the worst way of learning, right? That's just me, right? Everyone learns differently, so that's why we're offering this thing. Some people have jobs during the day and they can't appear at this particular time. 8 a.m. is a weird time, and that's why we offer all these delivery modes. However, we know from statistics and research that actually attending class either synchronous or in person, basically is better for your learning. You can ask questions. I can ask you questions. There can be a dialogue live, whereas asynchronous is a little bit more challenging. So this course is about APIs and frameworks, and you guys have, just like I've talked to you guys earlier, you guys have some experience, writing things with the frameworks we're going to be using in this course. There's going to be some stuff maybe you haven't done, but really it's like how to connect to frameworks with your mobile devices. How do you do that? And how do you connect to an API, and why? Why would I do that? Let's talk about our schedule for the bit. And I want to talk about this in every time we have a slide presentation. I'm not big on slides. I don't want to read slides. I think slides are ugly and boring. I'd rather do a demo with you guys than read slides. But the slides are going to be there for your to support you. Let's talk about the first few weeks here, especially week 3. Week 3, no class. We have Victoria Days. We lose a class this semester. Mondays and Fridays traditionally have always been bad times to host classes because there's always a holiday on a Monday or a Friday. And this semester is no different. May 22nd, that's 2 short weeks from now, is the civic holiday. I'm happy to have the day off. Absolutely, everyone should be happy. But it also cuts away one of our classes from this semester, which compresses some of the stuff that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be going slow as much as I can when it comes to this stuff. Even though you guys are in a graduate certificate program, I want to bring you up to speed. I want you guys to know what I know, right? So I'm not going to make any assumptions. My assumption is when you come into this class, you know nothing. Yep, I know that that's weird, but like I said, you could be taking this course completely out of sequence. And I want to train you as if you work for me, right? So that way I know that you know what I know, if that makes any sense. And so that means that some of it's going to be repetitive, which means you'll be very good at it. And some of it will be new, right? Which is some of the stuff we're going to hopefully talk today. Every week in this course, if you notice the structure, there's going to be something called an ICE, an in-class exercise. Every single week, it'll be an individual mark. This will not be a group mark in any way, right? So this is you and you alone. It's worth 4% of your final grade every single time. It is not something that you should take lightly. So this is not a 1% or a 0.5% or something useless. This is real. It's 4%. If you don't get it done, 4% of your final grade is gone, right? So some of them are super easy. All you need to do is follow along and get it done. But it's like practice. If you don't practice in this course, then there's a very good chance you're not going to get, kind of the key learnings. So assignments, we're going to use small groups, 1 to 2 people for those. Again, like I'd like to try and make it small. If you push me, I could probably expand it to 3. They do take a little bit of time. I do give you a couple weeks to get them done. But typically what they do is they build on the things that we've talked about in the previous times. This is assignment 1 is assigned today. It's actually wrong. I don't know why I did that. It should be actually, assignment 1 is actually assigned next week. Sorry about that. Which is weird that I did that. And most likely it'll be pushed out to week 5 because of the holiday. Typically I would make it week 4. I'm just making that change right now, and I'll update this in the schedule. And assignment 2 will go in the same way. Sorry about that. And normally what I would do is I would give an assignment on week 2 just to get you guys going, and then you'd have a couple weeks to get it done. Usually there's 2 weeks for every assignment. That's what we normally do. Okay. Tests. There will be 2 tests. One, there'll be a midterm practical test coming up in week 7, right? And there will be a final test on week 14. We have our mid-semester break on June 26th. The midterm test will be fully online. I'll give it to you at the beginning of the week. You'll have until the end of the week to do it. right? It'll be a practical test. It'll be measured for about 3 hours, right? So you should be able to get it done in class if you want to do it. I won't host any lectures during that week, but what I will do is I will provide you some support. So I'll kind of talk about the test during our regular time frame, 8 o'clock. We may elect to do that day remote, right? Because again, there's no lecture. So for you guys to physically be here, we may just say, you know what, let's just do it remote that day. You guys go ahead and I'll provide remote support for you guys, for that one. We'll probably do the same thing for the last day as well. We'll see how it goes. Some people might like to kind of meet with me for as a check-in or a checkpoint. We'll see how it goes. But typically, I will be here every single time. The only time that I'm slated not to be here is Victoria Day, but the rest of the time we're here. Okay, good. So any questions around the first half? First half is just basically learning about, we're going to do a bit of a JavaScript review, right? I know you guys have said you guys are good with JavaScript, some of you, but I'm going to get you guys to be hopefully better. And we'll build a Node and Express API, and it will not include any kind of front end. So what we need to do is we're going to use a couple of options. One of them is, yes, we have a back end. We're going to use Postman. You guys have used Postman before? Yay, this is awesome, right? So that means good. You guys are well poised for all this kind of stuff. And then you can use any front end to connect to it. If you wanted to use React, Angular, on the website, if you wanted to use, mobile device, if you wanted to use something else, you're good to go. And that's what this is going to be about. We create an API for us in the first part. We're going to do full CRUD operations with the API. I'll talk about how to do that. We'll also do an intro to authentication. You guys done Passport authentication too? No? Oh, hey, something new.
Use Firebase and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so no Firebase in this course, MongoDB only. Firebase you're going to get in another course, or you've already got in another course, which is probably from the data management course, my guess is.
React 2.
React 2, okay, no problem. Yeah, I know this is all over the place, but it is what it is. And we'll talk about how to create authentication. Again, there will be back-end components and potentially some front-end components. Some of the stuff when we do our in-class exercise will be we do together, and there'll be another part that I ask you to do alone. So some of it will be like, hey, let's do this. I bring you to a certain point and go, okay, now with your knowledge of Android or iOS, build a small front end that connects to this, right? So that's what it'll be, and it'll be for you to do alone. Each in-class exercise that you're going to be doing, you're going to be recording a small video, right? And the video you're going to make, I don't need to see your face, not necessary. All I need is 1 to 3 minutes is what I'm looking at for the video. 1 minute is good. Hi, my name is, and this is my video for in-class exercise 1. Here is what you've asked for, Tom. You've asked me to do this. Here, I'm demonstrating what you've asked me to do, all right? Things that I don't want you to do is I don't want you to read me code. Code does nothing for me. I want you to show me that it's working. That's what I want you to show. Show me that it's working and all that kind of stuff. I also use version control. So many times I'm going to use Git and GitHub. Hopefully you guys all have GitHub accounts. Good. I have all that stuff in here just in case you don't need it and you don't have it, but you need to set up a GitHub account. We will be hosting our stuff on render.com starting off this semester, which is a kind of free hosting service for the most part. And then later on, we'll be connecting to AWS and GCP, which is what I want to try and do at the end. So we'll build up to that because there's many kind of possibilities. And that is kind of the first half. It takes us into the first half, into week 7. It should be, for the most part, a lot of review for you with some minor details that are different because I'm teaching the course. It wasn't someone else, and I have to teach my way. I know what I know, and I'm going to show you what I know. All right, and then the second half, we're going to be talking about OAuth. So just like to build on, we learned in the first half in week 6, week 8, we're going to hit OAuth, which is third-party authentication. So example, authenticating with Google, Microsoft, GitHub, all those kind of things. That's different OAuth strategies. We'll also talk about JWT, which is a different form of authentication. Instead of session token-based authentication. We'll be using token-based authentication. I'll also probably talk around that time about putting together a microservice. Microservices are different than a monolithic kind of web application that we're going to building. API, we're building this monolithic web app. It does everything, right? But there's a very, kind of a movement out there, of course, positives and negatives, where we have a microservice with Spring Boot on the back end, right? Which is a totally different back end than using Node.js. Microservices are cool, but they provide also some overhead. Why? Because whenever you have a microservice, you're going to have a messaging queue, which is also a weird thing. So this is why we're going to avoid some of that. I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to ask you necessarily to build a microservice. And then it gets a little funky. We move away from actually our own API, and we talk about how to connect to social APIs. A couple of them, Facebook and Instagram. We're also going to connect to LinkedIn and YouTube, and we're also going to talk a little bit about analytics, mostly Google Analytics. How to add that, as an example. How to analyze analytics also on the device and all those kind of things. And if you're a mobile game developer, analytics are super important on how you're doing. Daily active users, monthly active users, all that kind of stuff. That'll happen in week 10. And then in the latter half of week 11 and 12, we'll be talking about payment gateways. There's two that I like a lot, Stripe and PayPal. But we'll also talk about Apple Pay and Google Pay, which is, of course, for us very relevant because we're partners, right? So we'll talk about those things. And finally, we'll deploy to different places with AWS and GCP, Google Cloud Platform. And there'll be a final test, a practical test that you'll be putting together. All of the assignments that you have that I've listed here are all supporting the stuff that you've learned in the previous weeks. Again, they're not going to be geared for you to do a long video. Instead of like 1 to 3 minutes, you'll be doing 5 to 10 minutes. It'll be a small exercise with you and a partner at most. If you want to do things by yourself, again, right? I'm not going to force you to do it. It means more marking for me, but it also means more hands-on for you, right? Which is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to get in there. Some people are going to have trouble because they've been used to working with other people and having the quote unquote developer and the team do everything while they do the project management piece or whatever. You guys, if you're expecting that in this course, you're mistaken. That's not how we're going to run it. We're going to run it so that all of you are going to become, at some point, API developers at the end of this course, right? You should be able to know these things. At the end of this course, you should be able to, the goal for me is to try and get you guys to understand the whole, kind of the solution stack that we've chosen and why. And there's different opportunities and there's different ways we can modify that stack to have different backends and so on. For example, I'm choosing Node, Express, and Mongo, but you could also change that to Node, Express, and MySQL, or Node, Express, and Postgres, or Node, No Express, kind of thing, and it's your own thing. Or maybe it's not even Node and Express, it's PHP and MySQL, or something like that. It shouldn't matter to you, right? At the end of the day, how to connect to an API. It should be, again, your application should be agnostic, but again, we're going to kind of talk about the most popular things, and Node, Express, that whole stack is very popular, and that's why we're using that one instead of PHP, MySQL, that kind of thing. Okay, that's the only reason. And there's other ones. There's a lot of really great ones out there too. Questions around the course, kind of a schedule a little bit. Are you guys concerned about anything? Are you guys good?
Yeah, everyone's good.
Okay. I'm also going to talk about evaluations a little bit. So I said that in-class exercises are worth 4%. I'm going to give you a pass. There's going to be one of those in-class exercises that if you don't decide to do or if you're terrible at, I will ignore it. All right. So that means you have the best 10 out of 11. You can mess up one. You can forget one. You can forget this one. People are going to ask me next week. They're going to say, I wasn't here, professor. And I just joined the course for the first time, man. Can I do my, in-class exercise 1? And I'm going to say, nope, you missed the course. You certainly can do one. You're still out of 100%, and you're good to go. Assignments, notice they're 7.5%. They're almost, but not quite, 2 times what an in-class exercise would be. And mid-semester tests and final tests are both worth 15% of your final grade, which means they are worth almost 4 in-class exercises, right? So pretty weighty, but then again, I mean, you should be able to kind of manage things at that point. In mid-semester tests, people are really freaked out about those kind of things. It's like exams, they're exams. And I'm really, again, think about this, open book, open internet. You'll have access to my GitHub repositories. You'll have access to stuff. You can even do things with, darn it, ChatGPT and do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna say that today because it's the topic of the day for everybody, everywhere, across all academia, for sure. It doesn't matter to me how you do it, as long as it works. Honestly, in a real example, a real scenario, as long as, and this is the proviso, you cite your sources, you tell me that you've done Stack Overflow or you've got this code from somewhere else, and it works, and it's your app. It's not somebody else's app you're showing me. It's you put the app together, you've connected to your backend or whatever, and it's not completely out there. Like if it's something that I've never taught you to do, you need to really expand on it. Like, where'd you get this stuff from? How'd you do it? And if it's ChatGPT, you need to exactly, absolutely understand what is going on there, because I will ask you, and if you can't explain it to me, you'll get 0. Okay. So that's the way it's going to be. I'm a proponent of using AI. I'm not an opponent. Some people are opponents. Oh, AI is bad. I'm more like, this is intelligence augmentation, right? For us, it's going to make us better, right? I think that people are going to run behind if they don't use AI. Just like when we're using Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, we get code hinting. Imagine doing things like that by hand. We used to. We don't do that anymore, right? Why? Back then it was like, oh, I can do things without anything. I can use, Notepad++, and I'm awesome. Who cares about that? If it's going to save you time, money, reduce, errors in your code, and speed up your development, I'm all for it, guys. Right? I'm all for it. Look, here's an example of what's happened in the industry, on my industry, which is game dev. They just released, a game that was terrible, right? On Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass, right? And it's a terrible game that they released, a AAA game, right? That they kind of just came out with, right? I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's Redfall or something.
Yeah, Redfall, that's right. And Microsoft, again, we're talking about a big corporation, has, bought up companies and stuff like this, Arcane. And Arcane normally took, that they kind of make some pretty good games, right? But now it's kind of fallen flat. IGN's giving it a 4 out of 10, right? Why? Because they didn't test it, right? They're rushing things to market and everything else. There's always a rush to get things to market these days. So imagine if I have to rush to get to market, I have some help from AI to help me out, do some testing, do whatever. I think AI is going to be prevalent in all the things we do. Right now, some of us use Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant and a bunch of other stuff, Siri. And I think what we're going to see is we're going to see those digital assistants become smarter. I'm not going to say perfect. And sometimes, I've listened to a podcast lately which talked about things like, how incredibly smart and surprisingly stupid, ChatGPT 4 is right now. It's really bad. And the reason why is because it has no context and it doesn't understand what you really want to put into it. It's amazing what it can kind of pump out if you need to. I'm not sure if you guys have tried it out.
I played with it.
It's neat, right?
Take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly. Take it with a grain of salt. And the reason why is because it's from 2021 and it is a learning model. One thing that I want you guys to always think about when you use ChatGPT is you're helping it learn, which means nothing that you put into it is secure. 100%. Do not think it's secure. You don't know where that data is going. So things like sharing things like, in my opinion, research, anything that's work related, I would highly recommend don't do it because you're probably going against ethics if you're doing research, and you're probably putting stuff up on an insecure system that anyone can use in the future. You don't know how that's being used. It's a black box, right? So be aware that that's happening. But I'm talking about this because I know people are going to try and do this kind of stuff. They're going to say, Tom asked me to do this. Tom asked me to do a front end to connect to my API, and I don't know how to do that because last semester I really didn't learn anything. My partner, I'm going to make a name up here, Mohammed, right? My partner Mohammed, he knows how to do everything. He's the developer of choice, right? And I left it to him. I was the UI UX person, and I was the project manager, and I really didn't understand how to do that kind of stuff. This could be you. This could be someone that's watching the video. It's totally fine, right? And you're going to use ChatGPT to figure this out. You're going to try and do this, or you're going to go online and you look at Stack Overflow. I need you guys to be very cognizant of, I'm aware that this is happening. It's easy for me to check to see if your work is your own. So please try as much as possible. The best learning is try and do it on your own. You can use ChatGPT in a great way as a starting point. Hey, look, that's really neat. I like how they did that. But it's maybe it's not secure. So you need to kind of think about how we can use these tools as opposed to giving you a ban on them. Oh, you can't use ChatGPT. That doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, hopefully that's aligned with your thinking. All right. So let's talk about our agenda for today. And I'm going to take like some breaks. When I talk for about half an hour to an hour. Then I take some breaks. And so I can get some water and all that kind of stuff. You guys can go to the washroom, all those things. This is a 3-hour class. Typically, I like to break up the class. In other institutions, I would have 2 days. Have like one part of the class one day, and then I'll see you again at the end of the week or something. There's no chance to do that here, and that's okay. Which means that there's only one chance for you guys to talk to me live, which is now. I mean, you can always connect with me on Discord or whatever. But I'll try and break this out so there's multiple recordings. Okay, let's continue. So what I want to talk about today is we talked about the course orientation. I'll talk briefly about what an API is. Again, I'm assuming you know nothing. All right, not because I don't think you've done this before. I know this crossover. Just talked about that. But we're going to talk about all these things. What is an API? And then we're going to get right into setting up your environment my way. Right? I know you guys have probably set up Node.js. I want you guys to uninstall it. Oh yeah, we're going to use MVM instead of Node.js, right? Which is the Node version manager, which is a far better way of managing Node than directly downloading it. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Version control, we're going to talk about at length and what I expect you guys to do. When I give you an in-class exercise, and if you put it up and there's only one commit, you will lose marks for your submission. I want you guys to do several commits. If you just put up the last version of your stuff, I don't know where that came from. I want to see development. I want to see that you're using version control as it should be used, which is you start off, you make the project, and then that's your baseline code, and then you add to it. If you just kind of dump your GitHub repository with full of stuff at the end, that doesn't tell me anything. That's like you could have got that code from anywhere, right? I want to see it in development. So you lose some marks for that. If you don't submit your video, one thing I'm going to tell you is I will not mark your in-class exercise. No video, no marks. No GitHub repository, less marks. And there may be a point in time where I ask you to do a little lab report. That's also something that I can ask you to do in in-class exercises. I reserve the right to ask you, which means I might have something like a lab report that you need to fill out, which is a little thing, a checklist of things that I want you guys to do, right? And if you don't submit that, no marks. Like there'll be those kind of things. So this isn't because of academic integrity only. Definitely it's about academic integrity. It's about, I want to know that you know, right? But also it's because I want you guys to get better, right? That's what it is. I want you guys to leave this program and feel satisfied that you know something that you and I have shared together, okay? All right, so let's get into, without further ado, I'm going to stop recording this one. This was the orientation piece. And then we'll get into the next part, which is what is an API and all that kind of stuff. You can watch this video separately and it won't affect anything we've talked about so far. So I'm going to stop recording now.